fans, welcome back everyone, welcome back to the PiGosaur Monday number 23, welcome back to our fourth series of the night. Welcome back to the quarterfinals. The quarterfinals here as we have our ZBT, we have our Terran versus Zerg spawning in the bottom left hand corner of Starchild. We have our South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Team Falcons. It is Solar. Oh. And spawning in the top right hand corner, we have the blue Terran player representing Shopify. It is ByuN. And if you're in the chat, predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat. If there's anyone that's willing to give translations, I would appreciate it. I'm going to assume that ByuN was asking Solar, like, yo, you gonna hit the gym? Like, ByuN has been very active when it comes to going to the gym and working out. I imagine that ByuN is offering Solar, papi, you wanna go? You wanna go to the gym? You wanna get swole? Oh. And alas, Solar, he says no. Oh, I lost recently. How much you can lift. Let's go. So now we're settling in. Now we're gonna be settling in. We do have initial openers here. Again, ByuN, it's gonna get him in. Gonna get him in. Get him in. For now though, it's gonna be an initial opener. Likewise, Hatch gets pulled out of Solar. Again, I'm just assuming that they're talking about weights, and I mean, I saw a kilogram earlier as well. That's all I know. Generally. Otherwise, welcome to StarChild. Welcome one all to StarChild. StarChild is of course one of the larger maps in the map pool. Is an older TLMC map, but a large one nonetheless, and we'll see how our players will approach this. Reaper does hit the mineral line so far, does threaten those workers, but Solar is going to be able to keep up, is going to be able to defend, and is going to be able to maintain that natural. So far so good. Coming into this, Solar and ByuN, they have been very back and forth, but if you were here a couple of days ago, you would know that ByuN did fall to Solar 3-0. Solar had a very strong showing, or has been having, I should say, stronger showings against ByuN over the past couple of tournaments, whether it was the Tenacious Tussle, whether it was the Sparkling Tunic Cup as well. Solar has been looking very strong, very in form. He has been on that redemption arc as well, has been recovering and looking very on point over the past couple of weeks. And ByuN is going to be coming in as the underdog, is what I will say. ByuN, he's going to be coming in looking for revenge. We'll see if he can get it against Solar in a best of 3. I want to believe he can, but the pressure is on. Pressure is on. Behind this is going to be 3CC into Banshee. Starport's on the way. Starport is in production. Getting to a zone 1-1-1. There's the add-on swap into Banshee. So pretty standard opener here out of ByuN, settling in towards that mid game. Again, just as a reminder, Starchild is a very large map, very long rush distance by ground, relatively defendable third base as you have to knock down rocks and go up these ramps to push into the natural, push into the third. The fourth base is a little bit more exposed, but even here at the fourth base location, we have a very narrow choke point and a ramp that you can defend. So in general, getting into a 4-base setup is a little bit more easy, or is a little bit more stable. Getting a 5th base, you are spread out far more thinly, so it can be more difficult to maintain a 5th, but getting to a late game is what we expect here. It should be up to ByuN to try to break Solar before we can really get comfortable here. We'll see if he can do so. For the time being, there we go. There's that 1-1-1. We have our initial Banshee moving out. 3rd base is now being taken here for ByuN. And as we settle in towards that mid game, a big shout out in the chat. Thank you so much, God. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to Cosmotor. Thank you so much for subscribing with Twitch Prime. We do appreciate the support. Thank you. Hope you enjoy the content. Hope you enjoy the casting. Hope you enjoy the StarCraft as we are getting into our fresh best of 3. Lair first out of Solar. Solar playing very safe, is going Lair first. He will delay his Eager Chambers and should be going for a faster Baneling Nest. There it is. Baneling Nest is on the way. So very safe play here by Solar. Meanwhile, ByuN is being active. He does break out. He is being active. We have Hellions on the right and we have Banshees on the left. Thanks for casting, bro. Hopefully my game's entertaining. Always, Pappy, always. Thank you so much. God, thank you so much to Hunted Swarm. Hunted Swarm in the chat. We were covering his games at the start of the broadcast. There's a world out there where we could be casting Solar versus Hunted Swarm instead. True. Played well. Did play well. Take care, Pappy. Take care. As ByuN is being deflected. Likewise, Banshees, they rotate over towards the right-hand side. The Overlord barely does not see the Banshees. Doesn't spot them. As we mentioned before, with the faster lair, does lead into faster baling speed. More delayed upgrades here out of Solar. Banshees, they slip in towards the main. But there is the Spore. Despite that, getting a couple of drone kills. Gets 1, gets 2, gets 3. Not bad. 4 drones do go down. ByuN rotating over towards that 4th. Sorry, towards the 3rd. And so far, ByuN is just building up here towards his eventual bio push. Does get caught on creep though. Oh my god. Yeah, brutal surround. Lings, they do catch 1. They catch 2 Hellions. Barely not the rest. ByuN does barely slip away. Banshees, they pull out. 7 drone kills. They're not done. They rotate towards that 4th. Getting another drone. Getting 8 workers. The Banshees, they will escape. They will pull out. Ooh, even getting a tumor. A little bit greedy there, but the Banshees do survive. Nice damage, 8 workers, a tumor. Both Banshees make it out. They can always repair. And here comes the follow-up. Here comes the actual bio timing. Stim is done. 1-1 finishing up in a couple of seconds. A very strong 1-1 timing here for ByuN. The Hellions are low from earlier. That is true, but they're going to morph into Hellbats nonetheless. And we'll see if ByuN can break the 4th or even reset the Queen count. Another Queen, no! The Queens! They move in, and 1, 2 Queens going to be going down, and barely not. Bailings rolling in, and brutal connections. Whew, and Solar, he holds. Solar, he does hold on, and he shuts down the buy. That was almost disastrous. In the end, Solar, he does shut down the push, and Solar defends the 4th base. Who are only losing 1 Queen. Only 1 Queen goes down. That could have been disastrous. Saves the Queen, gets the 4th base, now going for a 5th. And that was a brutal trade for ByuN. Again, ByuN took the Bailings right to the face. And suddenly Solar, he's snowballing out of control. Solar, he now maintains the greater economy, now taking up into Hive Tech, Infestation Bits on the way, getting into 2-2, getting into Lingbane Hydra. There's a lot of pressure on ByuN. There's now suddenly a lot of pressure on the Terran. Banshees, they do find the 5th. ByuN switching out of tanks into Widowmines. And is getting a 4th CC. ByuN is not going for a 3-base all-in. Is getting a 4th base. Lings, they come in from behind. They not quite going for the tank. Catching reinforcements. Scouting. Does confirm the expansion. And Solar, he should be able to keep up. Okay, split up his army. Split up is ready for this. And sure, we have ByuN poking in and denying some creep, but for the most part, the Hive is almost done. The Hive is almost done. Lurker Gen as well. Solar, he's almost reaching his final form. His goal here is to get into Lurkers and then finally break out. Until then, Solar has been taking more of a defensive role. He hasn't been really too aggressive at all across the map. Just focusing on that defense. Oh, attempts to come in from behind is denied. Nice trades there by ByuN. Solar, he is maxed. Hive is now done. He can get into Adrenal, get into Lurker Tech, into Lurker upgrades. So this time he commits, and he will finally take down that tank. Finally brings it down. Yeah, he does attempt to reinforce. The rocks have not been knocked down, so this is still a really awkward position for Solar to engage into. It's still very awkward for Solar. Viper production has begun. Both armies are maxed. ByuN going for the drop. ByuN is headed towards the main. Rocks are finally knocked down. And now we can surround. Lanes are coming from behind, and the mine shots are going to be decent. Yeah, decent mine connections on the Link Bane. It is forced to pick up. ByuN, these are some later drops into the main base. R-Spore's in position. And Solo doesn't react. Oh! Ooh, takes out a medevac. Yeah, late reaction out of Solar. Drones are going to fall. But there are enough links. Yeah, there are enough link reinforcements. Oh no! Medevac does pull away. And I worry for ByuN. Unfortunately, lurkers are morphing in. Lurkers are morphing in, and the Ghost Academy is just now finishing up. ByuN, he's not ready for the lurkers. He's not ready for this. Again, ideally, ByuN, he wanted more damage across the map. Does trade well off of creep. Does trade well initially. Yeah, more lurkers morphing in. The scan does reveal that. ByuN knows. And ByuN has to buy time. That's his win condition. He has to buy time here with drop play, with counterattacks, to buy time for more ghosts and more liberators. Solo with the miss rally. Okay, pulls away. Nice on the right hand side. Solo, he's keeping up. Lurker's going for a waddle buy. ByuN, he's ideally forcing a distraction, forcing Solo all the way back home, but the lurkers, they do get on top of the expansion, and the planetary, it's going to go down. Massive pickup. Oof. That's mine connections, drop into the main. Planetary should fall. I say that reinforcements have arrived. He saves the base, saves the planetary. Oof. Planetary gets saved, lurkers go down. That's still 19 SCV kills. ByuN is dropping back and forth. Still being hyper aggressive. At least attempting to be. Yeah, still just being annoying. Solo, he's just had enough. Going for a counterattack. Gets met by those wooden mines. Drops, they continue. Oh! Does lunge in. Takes out another medevac. There's one medevac left. Solar, no detection. But does get past. Planetary morphs in. Oh my god, these widow mines are doing well. They do well for themselves. But the planetary did fall. Solar still has momentum for the most part. ByuN, he's stuck on 4 bases. Has got a healthy ghost count though. No liberators yet, but he's getting there. Throwing down more CCs. Some more orbitals. Oh! Snipes, they catch at a Viper. So ByuN, he still has a little potential with the army. Like, ByuN, he's down in bases. He needs a 5th base, that is true. And ByuN may be starved out in the long run because he has no expansion, but the army still can trade well. Still trade well here with those snipes. With the splits. ByuN getting 3 workers, dropping back into the main. Again, just causing a big distraction here for Solar. ByuN throwing down 3 CCs. These little mines have been so annoying here. And there it is. Double starport into Liberators. So Liberator production is almost here. It's almost there for ByuN. Still needs a little bit more time to get into advanced ballistics. Before then, snipes are going up. Oh! Ooh, forcing friendly fire. And the ghosts are getting called out. It's a brutal pick up here. Solar cashes out a good portion of the army. Nidus into the main. And the Nidus, it looks like it will barely finish. For the most part, ByuN causing a distraction. Nidus, there we go, finishes, but does go down instantly. ByuN is holding on. And Solar, despite being maxed, despite having this very mobile army, he hasn't really achieved too much with it. For the past couple of minutes, he's just been stuck at home. He's been stuck defending against all the drops. I mean, props to ByuN. ByuN doing everything he can here to just buy as much time as possible, and it's been working. Has been working so far. ByuN's still trying to get a 5th. It's been a long time. He attempts that 5th expansion. Oh, bleeds out a ghost. He's on the way. Solar tries to engage. EMPs don't connect. But I'm not so certain Solar has enough here. It does land the EMPs on the Vipers. Solar going for a run by. Getting shot down by the Widow Mines. And ByuN, the base, it survives. For now, at least. This creep is still receding, and Solar, he will find the CC. And lunges forward. Even coming in from behind. Oh, collapsing on the army. ByuN getting called out. And he will lose the command center. At the same time, though, ByuN, he kills another hatchery. Not bad. Takes down the mineral line, takes down the base. Solar out of position. Solar, he commits. He goes for another planetary instead. And he does get it. Cool. Okay, 2 for 1. 2 planetaries for 1 hatchery. Liberators have arrived. Oh, they'll be forced back. Solar, he does defend back at home. Shuts down the ghosts. Goes to full. Solar, he defends. Sure, he lost an expansion, but Solar still in a much better position. ByuN, he is down to 36 SCVs. And we mentioned this earlier, a couple of minutes ago, but it is coming to fruition. ByuN is running out of money. ByuN, he's running out of money. He's being starved out the entire time. He was being denied a 5th base and now being denied a 4th as well. ByuN is double expanding. He needs to. He's double expanding. He's hoping that one of these bases gets up and running. As he double expands, Hydras are in position and the base, it's gonna fall. Another expansion should go down. Nice mine connection. Solar moving in towards a 3rd. Gets into the mineral line, forces friendly fire, more SCV kills, 15 SCVs going down. Oh, good. Does abduct, GG gets called, ByuN, he is broken, and Solar will take game number 1. Ooh, GG. Solar does take lead in the series. As he takes the lead, a big shout out to Ryan in the chat. Ryan Victor's God, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the raid. Hope you had a great stream, had a great ladder session, hope you had a great time. Welcome one and all to the PiGosaur Monday. This is a weekly open tournament. We are in the quarterfinals, and we just wrapped up game 1. Solar, he's ahead 1-0, does take a lead, and we'll see if Solar can get the 2-0 or if ByuN can fight back. Again, coming into this, Solar is the favorite player. If you've been watching Solar specifically over the last 2 weeks, you will know that Solar has been getting some crazy results. He's been beating players like Hero, beating players like Clem, beating MaxPax. Solar has been on fire over the past couple of weeks. And, oh boy, I don't know if anyone wants to be in his way right now. Well, I mean, ByuN, he does stand ahead of him. We'll see if he can force him to the ace match. Personally, I hope so. I want to see a game 3. I want to see a back and forth. But the pressure is on ByuN. Just catching up. The content is on par with the StarCraft. Top notch. Ah, gracias, papi, gracias. We go. The Cabal ain't dead yet. I mean, again, like, Solar has been getting really good results in Open Cups for the past 2 weeks. In online tournaments. Solar taking down Hero, MaxPax, Clem. Like, I don't think there's a player out there that Solar didn't beat in the past 2 weeks. But it's about consistency, right? It's about, you know, he's had a really strong showing the last week, but it's about whether or not Solar can replicate that and continue that streak. Whether he can continue. We'll see. as it looks like we're setting up for game 2. Game 2 is going to be on Errorhome. Flash shout out at Ryan. Beautiful. As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Errorhome, we have our South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Team Falcons, leading the series 1-0. It is Solar. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the South Korean Terran player, the Blue Terran, representing Shopify. It is ByuN. Here we go. We're getting into game 2, and welcome one and all to Errorhome. Errorhome is a unique map in the map pool. It is a old TLMC ladder map, and it is very aggressive. It's a very short rush distance by ground, very aggressive map here in general. And because of that, I do favor ByuN coming into this. In general, when it comes to early timing attacks, I'm referring to the 7-minute 1-1 timing push here, and even a later 2-2 timing as well, can hit very strong and hit like a truck, specifically on Errorhome, just because of that rush distance by ground. So we'll see if Solo can survive this. I would not be surprised if Solo opens up Roach. Like, Roach openers would make a lot of sense here on this map, just to be even safer, just to survive those timings and survive the early game. We'll see if Solo does mix it up. Likewise, you can also turn that defense into an offense, especially on this map. We could see, you know, a 1-1 Roach all-in off of 3 bases. Not uncommon, not unheard of. Here we go. ByuN is going for his standard opener, does go for the Racked Expand. Likewise, Hatch first, Hatch Gas Pool out of Solar. So far, so good. Hey, no nump, he'll have a response. I mean, I'm sure he will. Like, again, that's why we brought up the Roach opener that we have seen from Solar on some of these smaller maps. That is going to be an option. Again, you can see here that the distance between third base to third base is 1 screen. There's 1 screen between the bases. Aye. Or from third base to natural, I should say. So far, ByuN pokes in. Solar did invest into an extra pair of lings. That's going to be 6 lings for Solar. So Solar just being a little bit safer here. Likewise, ByuN back at home goes for the third CC into Starport. We did see Hellion Banshee last game out of ByuN, and we expect to see the same here in game number 2. So we'll keep an eye on ByuN to see if he does deviate. There it is, Starport. So looking to be 3 CC Banshee 2 games in a row. I mean, there's a reason why it is the go-to. It is a very standard way to open up in this matchup. Does give you map control, gives you some harassment opportunities as well. As there's that tech left for the add-on swap. Meanwhile, Solar's ready in the main. It's ready in the main base. Zones away the Reaper, getting his third, droning up. So far, so good. Really, we're waiting to see if there is an add-on swap. Yep, there it is. Add-on swap. We're waiting to see if we invest into Cloak or just regular Banshees. And it'll be on ByuN to find a way in. To find a hole in the armor here. And to get some economic damage. As a reminder, last game he did get, I want to say, up to 9 worker kills. Or I want to say between 7 and 9. Drone kills with his Hellion Banshee. ByuN had a very nice start. And he is investing into Cloak. Okay. So he is going into Cloak Banshee. Hellions, they rotate towards the third so far. Solar's keeping up. Queens are in position. Do zone away. Overlord Scout does confirm the researching tech lab, so he does confirm Banshee production and the third expansion. So Solar, he's fully aware, and there it is, Roach Warren. So we did assume at the start of the game, this is why we brought it up, that we were going to be seeing Roach play this time out of Solar, and this makes the most sense. The reason why we brought it up is because on smaller maps, Roach openers are more common. The reason for this is because Terran pushes are more terrifying on smaller maps, so opening Roach is more standard. Now, what's important though is that the Roach one is hidden behind the mineral line. This means that we might see something more aggressive instead. I'm assuming initially defensive play out of Solar, but with that hidden Roach Warren and without an Eva chamber so far, we might commit here instead, and Solar might cut worker production. So we'll keep an eye on the droning here of Solar, for now getting up to 3 base saturation. ByuN rotating over, double Eva chamber on the way for 1-1 upgrades. Now, we are expecting +1 melee if this is more economic. If this is more all-in, then we expect +1 range. But I'm leaning towards melee, as melee would signify Solar going from a Roach Ravager into Ling Bane. Banshees move in. They don't quite snipe the Queen. Clutch Transfuse. Means they hold for now. Queens, they zone back the army, Roaches are amassing, melee upgrades on the way, so this is most likely going to lead into Banelings, yep, and into further and greater tech. Infestation bits on the way, so this is more of a defensive style here. There's that Bane nest we didn't mention, so Ling Bane Roach Ravager out of Solar. Now, where does this lead? This should be Ling Bane Roach Ravager into Ultras. That's what the Hive is going to be for. And if Solar is able to get into Ultra Tech, then he can snowball out of control. That is his win condition, to tech into Hive, to tech into Ultras. Meanwhile, ByuN, we're 20 seconds away from the move out. We spoke about the 1-1 timing earlier. 1-1 is on the way, and by the time it gets close to finishing, ByuN should unsiege his tanks and should push. And there it is. This is ByuN's moment. Actually, he does keep his tanks back at home, so he's only going for some light aggression here. He's moving out with his Marines, yes, but he's not committing. So he's keeping his tanks more defensive. Now, ByuN, he did see the Roaches, so because he saw the Roaches, he might believe that a tank push won't work, which is true. Like, it can be quite difficult to break Roach Ravager with these tanks, as they're going to be vulnerable to BIOS, of course. One is now done. And ByuN, he's being more passive here. Yeah, he backs off. He backs off instead. Which means Solar's in a better position. Solar, he's able to get away with this. He defends the 4th base, now getting a 5th as well. ByuN, he's rotating instead. And again, he does see the Roach Ravager. So ByuN not too confident in his push. Not initially. Hive is almost done. Again, we're getting to those Ultras. Solar moving in. Ling Bane finishing up just in time for the push. Still a couple of seconds away. Oh, the expansion is going to go down. Yeah, Solar not quite in position. Still massing up his army. Now, the hope here for Solar is that this base is going to go down, for sure. But Solar, ideally, he can catch the army as it tries to race back home. And tries to catch the tanks unsieged. There's that Ultra Cavern. Viper's on the way as well. ByuN, he unsieges, he pulls away, and he gets out. Yeah, ByuN, he does actually keep pushing. ByuN is moving forward, he's getting caught unsieged. ByuN, he overextends, massive connections. Yeah, Banelings, they pop off. He shuts down the ByuN, ByuN is in trouble. This is not good enough damage here. He did deny an expansion, that is true. But Solar is getting it back up 5th. Solar, he's still maxed out. Kind of splitting is on the way. He's almost into those Ultras. Solar's almost there. Things, they catch reinforcements. Does catch reinforcements, gets into the mineral line. Solar setting up a counterattack. ByuN, he attempts to take a 4th base. Solar, he's here already. Does deny. It's a couple of SCVs. ByuN, he doesn't gain any ground. And ByuN, I believe he hasn't scouted the Hive yet. He hasn't scouted the Ultras. He's stuck on a bio-based composition. And what does he need against Ultras? He needs Ghosts. He needs Ghosts, Liberators. He's not there yet. Actually favor Solar coming in towards this later game state. Oh, Mind Shots not quite going up. Yeah, Widowmine doesn't connect. Oof. And with that, ByuN, he is in trouble here. He is now aware of the Ultras. He does scouts. He is now aware. But it may not matter. Ghost Academy is just about to finish. ByuN needs more time. And Solar, his goal should be to knock down the 4th. To knock down this expansion. He's knocking down the rocks. Rallying across the map. He's going to be distracted though. Is forced back home. Ultra does force the pickup. And Solar is going for the dive. The Mind Shots are decent, but it has still just so much Retravager behind this. While they connect. Planetary will be able to hold its own. I mean, Solar, he does want to trade out the Retravager. He ideally wants to trade this out, making more room for Ultras. We have 3 more Ultras in production. As ByuN, he defends the 4th for now. Let's defend, but Solar, he can afford to trade. Can afford to. Spires on the way. This should be for Corruptors. Corruptors into eventually Broodlords. Once he gets another tank. Solar bleeding out a couple of Ravagers here. Again, not the biggest of deals. As he loses Ravagers, he replaces them with Ultras. He's building up more and more Ultras. Likewise, ByuN getting into Ghost production, getting a 5th base. I'll be honest, I didn't think that ByuN was going to be able to save the 4th, but he did. The 4th base survived, and now suddenly ByuN is in this game. He's on 4 base economy, now he's getting a 5th base. Ghost production well underway. Earlier, the Ghosts were a little bit delayed, they were later, but now he has them. So ByuN is in this. I do still give the advantage to Solar just because of his bank. Solar, he can take fights and he can remax. But it's about what Solar's achieving with this army, or really what he's not achieving with the army, because he did not break the 4th. And the 5th base is getting up. Like Solar, he's still been a little bit too defensive. He might just be waiting for his upgrades. 3-3 is halfway done. He's giving his opponent a lot of time. And here we go, Solar now moving in. Snipe goes up, takes down one of the Ultras. At least should. There we go, does get into the mineral line. I spoke earlier about how he still doesn't get the expansion though. The snipes are brutal. ByuN holds. ByuN holds, he shuts down the Ultras. Across the map, a little bit more success here for Solar. He's being kited all the way to the 3rd. Solar, he doesn't touch the 5th. And ByuN? Again, he defends, he holds, saves the mineral lines, saves the bases. Still maxed out. Now Solar, he can still afford to have worse trades. Like Solar still has more expansions and a greater economy. So he can afford some missteps here and there. But not too many. Not too many though. The line connections are brutal. Mind Shot goes up, Ultras, he shuts down the planet. There we go, Planetary goes down. He gets the 5th. Whew, takes out the 5th base, takes down 13 SCVs. Finally, Solar gets some damage. Forcing back the army to the natural. And again, you can argue these are some expensive trades here, but this is worth it for Solar, as he can remax. Ideally, doesn't lose an expansion though. Doesn't lose the hatchery. Drop comes back in. Racing back. See ByuN taking up in towards those Liberators, but he needs more time. Meanwhile, the third base is going to be broken. And finally, Soul is getting economic damage. He takes down the fifth base, goes for the third, gets into the mineral line, pushing towards the natural. And we're going for a pseudo base trade as ByuN, he's also taking a base across the map. And Solar, he races back home. Turns back around, respects the army. ByuN stimming onto creep. Did get an expansion, but didn't get the workers. Snipes on the overseer. Reinforced to pick up. Solar, he wants to keep pushing, but alas, there is that Liberator. Ooh. As Liberator is going to go down, just barely. Fusion Core as well. The Fusion Core is exposed. Now Solar, he doesn't quite get the CC. Not quite. Now, ByuN, he's waiting for Solar to take a bad fight. Once Solar, if he takes a bad fight and if he loses most of his ultras, then that can trigger a counterattack. But outside of that moment, or outside of that scenario, ByuN is stuck at home. Nice snipes. Takes out one of the ultras. We get a decent Bailey connection. ByuN now getting his fifth base saturated, but heavily reliant on mules. The SCV count is still very low for ByuN, down to 48 SCVs. Instead, ByuN, he has a super maxed army. On the one hand, it means that, one, ByuN's army is strong, that is true, but it means that he doesn't really have a bank. ByuN's gas bank is almost non-existent. He does have some minerals left over, but limited gases. Liberation has arrived. Now here we have a decent lib count. Soleil peels off, going for another ultra run by. Running past the Liberator. Getting onto the starports. Heads towards the mineral line. ByuN still not really gaining much ground. Ultras, they bust in. Where's the repair? Late repair out of ByuN. Not the best engage here, but there we go. The planetary is going to fall. Liberator getting 9 drone kills, not bad. Workers go down, but ByuN, he can't afford these losses. Lings, they're catching out reinforcements. Starport goes down. Another starport on fire. Not going to be easy for Soul to push into all these liberation zones, but despite that, he commits. Up. Just try to brute force the issue. Another best trade here from Solar. He will bleed out all of his ground army. Solar getting a little bit too excited. Bleeds out a lot. I mean, these are expensive losses here for Solar. Trying to make it worth it. Takes down the Liberators. He will lose every single ultra. Jesus. We'll lose all of his ultras. Again, ByuN trading very efficiently. Despite that, still no fourth expansion. CC's up in the air. Just heavily reliant on mules, essentially. Mules are keeping ByuN in this game. But he can't max. ByuN, he cannot max out. He's making Reaper? Oh, I don't think this is intentional. ByuN, calm down. I don't think he's meant to be making Reapers here. So, bit of a fumble. And ByuN, his muscles are getting too big. His fingers are so thick. Ah. Oh, no. Like, you can make an argument that, like, especially in the mid game, yeah, the Reapers they go down. Like, that was not intentional. Reapers, they get completely caught out. ByuN does take down the expansion, but alas, Solar, he gets into the mineral lines. Yeah, he gets into the natural, into the third base, trying to camp the production. ByuN, he's racing back home. He will lose another mineral line. Solar, in a way, getting caught out. Oh, who catches who? This is going to be a kill, not a lift on the CC. And ByuN is on his last legs. At this point, ByuN is all in. He's on a half a base economy, if that. A third of a base economy. Supply blocks, trying to break out of it. And I was hoping for an ace match, I was hoping for a game 3, but that is not going to happen here. Solar, he has been in control for quite some time. If you recall, a big part of this, I mean, thankfully Solar did open Roach, so he was very safe. If you recall, after ByuN saw the Roach opener, ByuN was a little more passive. ByuN, he wasn't able to really make use of his timing attack with 1-1. If you recall, he rotated, went for a delayed push instead. Solar defended, and Solar, he was able to get into that late game, get into the Hive Tech without too much issue here, into Ultras. He's able to get into those Ultras. And with that, Solar goes to the final mining expansion. Again, ByuN, the base trade is his best option, his best choice. Gets the mineral line. Oh my god, that's 23, 26 runs going down. It's all or nothing for ByuN. Snipes, they pop up. Snipes shut down the Ultras. Solar, he turns everything back around. Does race back home. The Ultras are low. And we do get a decent fungal on the army, but the Ultras, that they're falling. As Solar, he plummets in supply. Wait, no. Wait, hold on. ByuN, he takes the fight, takes down the expansion. Taking the fight isn't what's scary. What's scary here is that Solar doesn't have a blank. He doesn't have a bank. Solar, he is burned through his bank. He has no money. No shot. ByuN, he has the more efficient composition, true. He has a larger army as well. I mean, he was super maxed. So ByuN, he's winning this game. Like, he is ahead. ByuN, he's in a better position. ByuN has 2 SCVs, but he doesn't need SCVs. He needs this. He needs these ghosts, the Marines, the Marauders. Solar, he is in trouble. Without a good fungal, Solar, he will lose this fight. No shot. No shot, Bobby. As, yeah, Solar, he's also on, what, a 1.5 base economy. Solar needs more time. ByuN, as long as he controls well, he can win this. Up the snipe! Oh my god, gets the Infestor, no fungal. And that was the one chance, that was the one moment. We did need that fungal, and without it, yeah, there's only Ling Bane. There's no Ultras left. Expensive loss here for Solar, and ByuN, he does it! Takes the fight, shuts down the army, and we are going to the ace match. We're going to game 3. Whew. Oh my god, I was concerned we weren't going to get it, but GG gets called, and ByuN ties up the series. Let's go. ByuN does tie it up. Against Solar, he had more bases, he had the economy, he was maxed out, that is true. But remember, ByuN had a super maxed army. He had an insane force to work with. He was able to outtrade his opponent and did barely take it. GG. GG, well played, did barely take it. A very intense game 2. Could have gone either way, to be honest. And with that, we're going to the final game of the series. Let's go. Let us go. Getting ready for that game 3. And game 3 is going to be on ley lines. So we can just make Ling Bane. I mean, even if Solo was going back to Ling Bane instead of Ultras, just because of how efficient the army is, potentially ByuN could have still out-traded. I mean, it would depend on the angle of attack. Would have depended on the angle, on where the fight took place. For sure. But I do agree that towards the end, Ultras, they can be, just because they're so expensive, they can at times be a mistake to commit into. Like Ultras, to efficiently and to effectively make use of Ultras, you do need that greater economy, but Solo was losing bases. Was losing expansions. I mean, he straight up just ran out of money towards the end. And here we go, we're getting into our next game, and spawning in the top right hand corner of ley lines, we have our South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Team Falcons. It is Solar. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the South Korean Terran player, the Blue Terran, representing Shopify. It is ByuN. Here we go. As the ByuN, he even got away with making those, like, what was it, like 9+ like Reapers? Yeah. Even got away with that? He was fine, Pop. He was fine. In control the entire game. Go ByuN. From here, though, we're settling in. And we're loading into one of the more standard maps in the map pool. I say standard map just because it isn't as small as, you know, El Dorado, Ultra Love, or Whispers of Gold. It's a larger map compared to those maps, but it isn't as large as, you know, your more intense macro maps like Neo Violet Square, King's Cove, and Abyssal Reef. Not as large, not as intense, or Amygdala even, and Frostline. So ley lines is a little bit more middle of the road. Because of that, I have a bit of a harder time kind of leaning towards either player. We'll see where they take us. I wouldn't be surprised if this time Solar doesn't open Roach. I do believe that a big reason behind the Roach opener on Errorholm was just because of the size of the map. Here we might just see straight up Ling Bane out of Solar instead. We'll see. So let's claim his third. It's going for his third. Behind this standard opener here out of ByuN. Racks into Factory. And should lead into a third CC. Now ByuN, he does have a couple of cheeky builds up his sleeve where he does like to mix in a 2-base all-in or 3CC 2-1-1. So ByuN, he has been known to mix up his play in the mid game, but so far, standard opener. Every game so far we have seen Hellion Banshee, or we've seen 3CC Banshee out of ByuN. And we might see that again in the ace match. Ooh, takes down the Tumor, very nice pickoff. Tumor goes down, Reaper barely escapes with 4 HP. Whew. Again, sniping that first Tumor is actually pretty brutal. It's pretty brutal. It's pretty brutal here. It's a nice pickoff there by ByuN. Meanwhile, Starport. It's going to be a Starport follow-up. There's a Tech Lab into Add-on Swap into Banshee. So the same opener every game in the series, and again, there's no reason to deviate really too much. Even though ByuN does have some cheeky builds up his sleeve, Reaper Hellion. Sorry, Hellion Banshee is the go-to for a reason. Just very safe, very secure. Our eyes instead are going to be on Solar, as we are waiting to see does Solar open up Lair First, Roach Warren, or Baneley Nest, or even Double Evo Chamber. Solar does have options. ByuN pokes in. Stim has begun behind this. Stim is on the way. We're 10 seconds away from our initial tech of choice. Catches the tumor. Not a bad pickoff. And what is Solar going for? There we go. Getting a second gas. Throws down the second gas geyser. Getting ready here for Banshee. Spores are on the way. Overlord comes in for the scout. Gets eyes on the third CC. And the Overlord... Oh, does he see much more? He does not. Doesn't get eyes on the follow-up here. As we can see, this is a different variation. This time, no cloak. And to be fair, Solar, he does see the lack of research in Tech Lab. So this time there is no cloak. This time ByuN, he's committing less into his Banshees, and it is going to be Lair first. Lair first out of Solar. Lair into Bailey Nest. This time no roaches. So no roaches. We did see roaches last game, but again, error home, small map, short rush distance by ground. Makes sense to play safe. Here we're calming down. Still denying creep. Potentially looking for a dive. Oh! Well, as the final tumor doesn't quite go down. But nice cleanup here out of ByuN. Behind the Solar, W chamber into double upgrades. Into Ling Bane Hydra. Now, last game, Solar's win condition was to get into Ultra Tech and get into Hive. Here, it's going to be Solar going into Ling Bane Hydra into eventually Hive Tech into Lurkers. We're getting a bit ahead of ourselves, but that's kind of like the setup here that Solar's going for. You know, a nice snipe on that first queen. Ooh, but the Banshee does fall. Remember, there's no cloak. No cloak for the Banshees. And so far, they have not paid for themselves. They kill a queen, but just a queen and one drone. Now getting a second worker. ByuN, he is going to be reinforcing. This is going to be a very early push, actually. So usually the move out is reserved for around 7 minutes, just because that's lined up with the 1-1 upgrades. As 1-1 is still on the way, but ByuN, he goes for an earlier push instead. And Solar's not quite ready for this. Solar, he's being greedy, he's taking up in towards Hydras. But Solar, he has a decent amount of Ling Bane. Bailing speed has not begun. Oh, that's a mistake. Bailing speed should have already begun by now. Even before Hydra range. Without Bailing speed, Solar is going to attempt to surround. ByuN trades well. Does trade well. Hellions are behind this. Hellions can even move forward. Armory still in the way. And there we go. Bailing speed now begins, but it is very late, very delayed. And that was not intentional. Oh, snipes a queen. Does snipe a queen. Expansion goes down. Massive pickoff. ByuN takes down the fourth. Should be deflecting the main. But takes down the fourth expansion. And Solar's in trouble. Solar, he is in trouble here. Going for an ARAX is makes the most sense, and yep, we're ARAXing. 3 base all in. 3 base all in out of ByuN. So coming into this game state, because ByuN killed the fourth, this is already insane damage, and the correct thing to do here is to go for an all-in. ByuN, he doesn't take his gases. No gases at the third base, no 4 CC, no second factory, throws down 3 maxes, no add-ons, purely 3 base all in, ARAX. And because ByuN has momentum, this is designed to kill. And this is going to be a tough hold here for Solar. Solar now finishing up Bailing speed. ByuN, he tries to get into the mineral line. Gets a couple of Bailings. Nice target firing. And ByuN is making 12 Marines at a time. And this is pure Marine tank. That's the power here of this 8 racks of the 3 base all in, because there's no gases, because there's no add-ons, there's no Marauders. There's no Marauder production, there's no additional tanks either with the second factory. It's just pure Marine tank. And here comes ByuN. ByuN is almost maxed. Now, if Solar can somehow buy time for Hive Tech, like the Hive is on the way, Lurker Den's on the way, Solar, ooh, he drone up to 82, that's a little bit greedy. But he has potential for some better engagements with those Bailings. But the pressure's on Solar. Again, he's up against the wall. ByuN just rallying across the map. Solar's being punished by those tanks. And he gives up the base. Does give up on the expansion. Base is gonna fall. Solar still stuck on 3 hatcheries, as he will lose another 4th base. Just over and over again. And ByuN, he can either rotate towards the top side or just keep pushing. Solar going for a massive counterattack instead. Trying to catch reinforcements. Does attempt to. And not bad, he does catch some Marines. The Bio army is getting caught out. Now going for the tanks. And tank shot up, barely going up. Headed for the mineral line. Massive connections. SCVs are going down, gets the entire mineral line. That is good damage, but ByuN, he's still all in. Now he's running out of steam. ByuN is running out of reinforcements. I say that he does have a bank to work with, so he's still rallying. Jesus. Still rallying across. Bailey Nest is under fire. The Bailey Nest does go down. Ay, ay, ay. Meanwhile, the Lurkers, they've made it. Against Solar, he just had to buy time for Lurker tech, and he's here. Lurkers have arrived. Solar, he can still hold on. Yoinks the tank. Solar, he is still in this game. ByuN hasn't broken him yet. Oh, he does pull in towards the left-hand side, though. Trading against the Lings. Oh my god, takes a Baneling to the face. Does take a Baneling. ByuN, he doesn't get into the mineral line, doesn't take down the 4th. And Solar's holding. Solar, he's holding on. The longer this goes on, the better it is for Solar. And a lot of this honestly comes down to the counterattack. Comes down to the run by. It didn't just cripple the economy of ByuN, but it also forced back reinforcements, right? It delayed the push. It delayed the army. Lurker count is getting higher. Marines, they attempt to stay out of range, but alas, it's going to be overwhelmed. The tanks are going down. Solar, he's holding on. He's shutting this down. ByuN does go into the mineral line, though. Not bad. Does hit the 4th. Oh, does hit the 4th expansion. Goes for the Hydras. Doesn't quite have enough. It was close. And Solar, he defends. Solar defends. He maintains a 4-base economy. Something that ByuN was trying so hard to deny. And again, the beginning of the game was solid for ByuN. He killed the 4th. He killed the 5th base. Well, the backup 4th. But the run by was insane. Likewise, ByuN, he wasn't able to punish the backup 4th. Solar, he has his Lunkers back. He's in position. West going to zone away, takes down the medevac, and Soul's about to max. He's about to max out. ByuN trying to take a 4th CC. It's an orbital. I mean, it has to be. ByuN attempting to recover, but his army's just being outscaled. Likewise, he never took his gases at the 3rd base, so he can't really afford anything too greater. Tech-wise, I mean. Oh god, god, god. Medevac goes down. And soon Soul's gonna max. He's about to max out, then counterattack, and it's gonna be a tough hold here for ByuN. He's lacking Sim City, no bunkers, no depots, no planetaries, no CCs. Likewise, no tanks, no widow mines. ByuN is not set up defensively. He is ready for a backstab though. Workers move in. Solar commits. He's distracted though by ByuN. ByuN does hit the mineral line, not bad. He does hit the natural. Forces out some of those overlords. Lurkers are going to be cleaned up. ByuN with some good fights, with some good trades. Gets the expansion. But this still may not matter. Mining is still denied. Yeah, mining is still being denied. ByuN is still starving out. And ByuN did have a crazy comeback in Game 2, but here in Game 3, I don't see it happening as much here. He just can't afford anything else, or he just can't take up. He's stuck on Marine Marauder. Oh. Spine just going off. The Lurkers are going to go down, but the trades are brutal. Oh my god, the choke point! The choke point is insane. The Lurkers, they trade very well against the army. And GG gets called as ByuN is just a meat grinder. GG Solar, he will claim the series 2-1, advancing on to the semi-finals. GG, well played. Solar, he does claim the series, does advance on into the next round. Again, ByuN had a very strong start, but the run by the counterattack of Solar won him the game. I'm referring to the counterattack that hit the mineral line and completely shut down the third base. It shut down the third base, it kept reinforcements at home, and did trade for quite nicely. Did trade quite nicely against ByuN. That was the moment that ByuN lost momentum and that ByuN lost the game. GG. GG, well played. With that, Solar does advance on into the next round, and he already has his next opponent. Exclamation mark, be in the chat to have a look at the back of yourselves.